Last weekend, something very interesting happened with my 3-year-old son, Gappa. Out of nowhere, he began looking for an old memory about which he was very particular, he was very detailed, and he was very specific. But this did not end as well as it should have, and I didn't know how exactly to help him. So basically, we are playing together with each other, and suddenly, out of nowhere, he mentioned Nandi Hills. Now, Nandi Hills is a small hill station kind of place near Bangalore. It's a popular tourist place. Uh, so I thought maybe he liked the word Nandi Hills because it sounds more pleasant to the ears. It's easy for a child to pronounce. But he was talking about fishes. Fishes of Nandi Hills. He insisted that he had seen fishes of Nandi Hills, and he wanted me to take him down the memory lane. We have been there multiple times, but I didn't remember seeing any fishes in Nandi Hills. So I told him to help me. So he began reminding me. He told me first that we were going to Nandi Hills, and Anshu Chachu was there with us, and we were traveling by big car. Now this didn't add up simply because Anshu Chachu, who is my best friend, he lives in Mumbai. We have been on multiple trips with each other, but never to Nandi Hills, which is in Bangalore. So I told him, Gappu, could it be somebody else, the other people that we have been with, when we visited Nandi Hills, such as, my wife, his mama, his grandmother, his aunt, his cousin, could it be these people? And he said, yes, 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 all these people, and also Anshu Chachu. So he was very particular. He was insistent that Anshu Chachu was a part of this trip. Now this was going nowhere, and it left me confused. But I was, free. I was mentally free. I was more relaxed, and I decided to indulge him. I decided to help him, find that old memory. So I started telling him about all the trips that Anshu and I and Gappu have been, have gone together. All the long road trips, all the short trips, any visit to any particular, tourist spot. But none of those places, had fishes, or there were no memories of fishes from those spots. Then I tried to take him down memory lane in which we saw fishes, in which Anshu was not there. Anshu Chachu was not there. Now these included an aquarium in Goa. No, that was not it. I mentioned the Kannur. Kannur, we had been there recently. He had fed koi fishes over there. But that was not it either, because he mentioned that, Papa, you did not have, fish food in your pocket when we went to Nandi Hills. So that was also out of question. And since I was trying to help him, he tried to help me back. He tried to remind me. We were watching from above. There were big, big rocks, and we were seeing the fishes were swimming below, but it could not ignite any memory in me. And then suddenly, when it was going nowhere, he gave an important hint. He lay down on the sofa, and he started throwing his legs like this, and he said that the fishes, their tail, or the legs, they were moving like this. And I tried to apply my brain, where could that situation be, where. And then I remembered, we had been to a mermaid show at an aquarium in Bangalore. My mother was here, and I tried to remind him, was it that situation? And for a moment he said, yes, yes, yes. And then suddenly, he changed. No, 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 that was not the case. It was not the case. And then it started looking a little more desperate for us. It started looking desperate for him. It started looking desperate for me. I called up Anshu Chachu, to ask him if he remembered any such incident. He could remember no such incident. Then I called up my wife. She was at office. Generally, she, holds on very strongly to these old memories, and I was very sure that she would definitely know where, we had been to. She couldn't remember either. And that was a point, I decided I'd had enough. I was getting irritated, and I decided to fake it. I told Gappu, yes, yes, yes. In Nandi Hills, there were colorful, beautiful fishes. They were swimming. And that got him irritated. No, that is not it. And he began crying. He began throwing himself. And then I made one last ditch effort. I told him, did you eat those fishes? Or were those fishes that we saw being culled at the shop? And that got him agitated even more. He was trying to remember fondly about some beautiful fishes. And I was talking about, eating those fishes. And he started throwing his limbs everywhere. He started throwing himself, started kicking the toys, and he started crying. He threw a full-blown tantrum it was. Basically, by this point, he understood that I had given up on him. He turned hopeless, and he started seeing me as the hindrance, as if I knew what he was referring to, but I was not trying to help him out, or in fact I was trying to be a roadblock to his recollection of memory. And as his tantrum grew, my I also started getting irritated, and there was a brief moment when um, I wanted to snap at him. Okay, I wanted to snap at him so that he would give up this entire hunt for that memory, and all this would be over at once. But for some reason, since I was overall in a good mood, I started, I tried to look at him with some sympathy, with some empathy. I tried to understand that this boy, this child, he's trying to look for something, and I'm that person who can, help him with that something. Okay? And if at this moment, if I lose it, imagine what the child will, go through. And I try to understand, I try to empathize with him. And I realized that, for us, when there's some question, when suddenly some question arises, some curiosity arises, we immediately go and search Google. Okay, we go search Google, or if you want to go back to an old memory, we go back to our Google photos, we go back to messages, and we immediately can, by ourselves, we can, get back those memories. Okay, we can answer our questions. So it's so easy for us. But when that does not happen, like for example, when I go for my Vipassana courses, when we have to give our phone away for 10 days, in those situations, for 10 days when I'm meditating and some question comes in my mind and I want to check my phone immediately for the answer, and I know that I can't do that, there's a sense of restlessness, a feeling of hopelessness. And I realized that this is what Gappa is going through. Okay, he has a memory, and who is his memory card? We are his memory card. Okay, we are his Google, we are his Google images. And if we cannot, help him, at least the least we can do is, not get agitated with him. He's not throwing tantrums to trouble me. No, that's the main thing. He is doing that because he understands that that's the only way he can get something for which he actually thinking I'm the roadblock. He thinks I know it, I have it with me, that memory, but I'm not giving it to him. Okay, I'm not giving it to him for some reason. And he thinks that if he throws his limbs around, if he cries and all that, I will give up and I will give it to him. And eventually, at the end of it, he cried and then he got distracted, and we'll never know the memory he was looking for. It's gone. It's gone with that tantrum. It's over. But what I'm actually happy about is, I try to assist him. I try to empathize with him, and I think if we as parents, if we can empathize with our children, if we try to see them for what they are children ultimately. They're children. They throw tantrums because when a child is born, he cries he cries. He cries when he's hungry because he has no other way to say it. It's the same thing with him. Now, he has no other way to express his thoughts in a way that he can extract those memories. It depends on me. It's my duty as a father to be very patient with him. Okay, very patient. And if I have to show anger, if I have to show anger, scolding anytime, it has to be in a very conscious manner. That's something I constantly strive towards. Very often I fail, but still I do it much better than I would have done if I was not being mindful. So this was one of those incidents I wanted to share with you. I'll keep sharing these personal stories, these personal parenting anecdotes and stories and experiences with you as we move forward. Do subscribe to this channel if you want to keep listening to such stories. It may help you, it may help some other parents, young parents that you may come across. You may want to forward this video to them. Do that. Take care. See you again soon.